In 2023, I made $120,000. In 2024, I read this book, made one change, and I made $240,000 in that year. So let's talk about this book, because you see, for a long time, I was super stuck in this downward spiral of being busy, where you get stuck in basically everything, right? You're like, okay, should I start a podcast, YouTube channel, or Instagram? I'm gonna spend forever working on my branding, my logos, I'm gonna debate creating 10 different things, and then I'm gonna doom scroll because I'm feeling super overwhelmed. I'm gonna set up my Google Calendar because maybe the problem is that I'm not being productive enough. Push my videos, I'm gonna compare my progress with everyone else's. I'm gonna be like, okay, you know what, in order to get everything done, I have to get up at 5 a.m. I'm totally overwhelmed, I'm gonna rethink and redo my entire business strategy. And that is the fastest path to burning yourself out when you're trying to start a business or when you're running your business. That's not where I want you to be. And that's where I hate being in my business as well. I want to get you into the upward spiral of success. And there are 4 big steps that I want to talk about in this video that will get you there. So the first and most important step into the upward spiral of success is to forget about doing it all. Okay, that is like the biggest misconception in, I mean, not just business and life as well, is that success equals doing everything all the time as fast as possible forever. And it was actually so shocking to me when I realized that that shouldn't be my goal in business either. Not everything matters equally, right? It's like the Pareto principle. I hope I'm saying that. Pareto? I hope I'm saying that right. It's exactly like the Pareto principle, which says 20% of inputs lead to 80% of the result. Some effort is just higher leverage and it's a better use of our time. Like, for example, an hour spent perfecting some small detail on your branding that nobody else is going to notice versus an hour reaching out to past clients you've worked with to ask for referrals or to ask if they have new projects for you. So there's a great quote that I love from this book, which I highlighted. You can become successful with less discipline than you think for one simple reason. Success is about doing the right thing, not about doing everything right. I really needed to hammer that home for myself, and I really think a lot of other business owners out there who feel stuck or who haven't begun yet need to remember that. And I want to bring up this graphic all the time because I think it's a great visual for those of us that think that trying to do it all is the right solution. We have a limited amount of time in our day, and we also have limited energy. We don't just have an endless source of energy where we can conquer the world every single day. Given that constraint, trying to do it all is not a good strategy. Trying to do it all kind of gets you like maybe 10% on like 15 different things. But if you just focus on your one thing, you can use that finite time and energy to make 100% progress on one thing. Stop trying to do it all. It's forbidden. I ban it. It's not allowed. That's all the ways I know how to say that. Okay, so let's move on in the upward spiral of success. The next thing to do, if the focus is not to do it all, is to ask ourselves better questions to figure out what we should be doing, okay? Because when you ask the wrong question, you get the wrong answers. This is one of the biggest things that one of my mindset coaches from a few years ago told me. She was like, your brain is an incredible computing machine. It will answer whatever you ask it. So if you ask it, how can I do everything? It will try its best to figure out how it can help you try to do everything, right? It can be like, you need to get up at 5 a.m. so you have more time in the day. You need better productivity systems. You need to download that Notion template. It's going to try to help you become super efficient, super productive at doing everything. But the problem is trying to do everything is the wrong question to be asking, because that is not the point of business. So I love the framework that Gary talks about in The One Thing, where he talks about how to help yourself ask big and specific questions. So he has this little grid thing where he's like, most of us ask small and broad questions or big and broad questions, which is not where we want to be. So a small and broad question is like, how can we just make more videos, right? That's broad. Like, I don't know what more videos are, and we're not really attaching a big number to it. Small and specific might be, how can we make 5% more videos this year? That's a pretty small question. And small questions lead to small answers. Big and broad might be, how can we make twice as many videos? Okay, interesting. Big and specific is, how can we make twice as many videos in the next 3 months? So when I ask myself that question, the big and specific one, I start to think more creatively about what we actually have to do if we wanted to double the amount of videos we were making, what systems we needed in place, what people we need in place. So a good example of a big and specific question for freelancing, if you sell services, might be, what can I do to make $10,000 as a freelancer in the next 3 months? If it's a little scary, that's a good question. Again, it's just for brainstorming. I'm not saying you need to make this your goal, and if you don't hit it, it's a bad thing. I'm not saying that. It's just for brainstorming. It's just for fun, just to see what creative ideas come up. Bad for brainstorming is, what can I do to make more money as a freelancer? I feel like that doesn't invite inspiration. It doesn't invite brainstorming. It doesn't invite creativity. It really doesn't invite anything to the table because it's so vague. So here are some more questions for inspiration that are based on what stage of business you are currently in. So if you're currently in stage 1 where you are focused on making your first $1,000 a month, then your focus should definitely be on creating a great product or a great service of some kind. Maybe your big and specific question is, in this month, how can I try to get $1,000 to validate my product or service idea? Another one to create a great product could be, what would I have to put in my product to create a 95% conversion rate? I love this question. This is kind of similar to Alex Hormozzi's question. Like, what can you put into a product offer that would make it so that when you told somebody about it, they're like, oh my gosh, duh, sign me up. Like, it's a no-brainer. It puts you in like a serving mindset. Another big and specific question, what do I have to do this month to get my first paying client to pay me $100? I think when you ask these types of questions, you kind of get a gut feeling answer of like, oh yeah, that's what I should be doing. Okay, to make $100 this month, I need to be cold pitching. I need to be reaching out to a few people that I know that have businesses that could need what I offer. And then all these other voices come up with like, yeah, but maybe you should get your website done first. Maybe we should do our logo first. Maybe we should do branding first. Maybe we should like spend 15 hours planning our Instagram feed perfectly. Like, this stuff is not it. This is it. If you're in the next stage where you are at maybe 1 to 5K a month, maybe your focus is on steadying out your traffic sources, right? So maybe your big and specific questions are, how could I get in front of 10 ideal clients every single day? What would I do to get 20 referrals guaranteed every single month? What would I do to make lead generation 100% automatic? And if you're trying to get to 10K a month, your focus is probably on scaling, on systems, on building a team. So here's some big and specific questions that I love. And what would I have to do this month to delegate 80% of my tasks? What would I have to do to find the top 1% of the talent market and hire them? Where would I find them? Another one, what would I have to do in the next 3 months to 10x our sales? Again, I'm not saying that's your goal. I'm just saying for brainstorming, it's interesting to ask yourself these big specific questions. This is our example from before. I asked myself this last year as well. What can we do to 2x video output in the next 6 months? And here's some big questions, big answers for the big questions. So hire more team members or increase existing team members' hours so they can help me with more. Duh. Take more things off of my plate so I can focus on feedback rounds and filming. 3, give more feedback to team members and add to SOPs how I give my feedback so that I don't have to spend as much time on revision. And creating better workflows for idea selection, validation of ideas, all of that will help us have more ideas in the pipeline of outputting video, right? All right, so you've asked better questions, you have a list of better answers, and now it's time to get to the heart of this book, which is to ask the magic question. Yay! So the magic question is, what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? So you can fill this in with whatever your goals are, whatever big specific questions you had before. So let's do examples. What's the one thing I can do to make $1,000 as a freelancer in the next 3 months such that by doing that one thing, everything else becomes unnecessary or easier? Oh, I have to pick the perfect business name. I have to make my logo brand. I have to cold pitch to clients. I have to watch all of Daya's videos. So my challenge to you here is, again, the point is not to do everything. So what is the one thing you can do that will get you to $1,000 as a freelancer such that by doing that one thing, everything else becomes much easier or unnecessary? I think it's to cold pitch to clients. You need to be making money so that you can rely on that income to sustain yourself as a freelancer and to justify the amount of time and energy you're putting into freelancing. And then later, once you have the money coming in, once you have clients, then you can work on all this other stuff that's lower leverage. It's lower leverage because it doesn't get you to clients faster. So, other examples. What's the one thing you can do to double your organic traffic such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary, right? So there's so many things you could do when it comes to organic traffic, and business owners get stuck in this all the time. Oh, I could pitch to podcasts, start a YouTube channel, and I could try to get like press features. I could post on TikTok and Instagram stories, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and X, and somebody said Threads is really important. So all of these things, right? We have a million things we could possibly do. The point is not to do everything. Now, an important thing here, if you're asking yourself, but Daya, I don't know what the one thing is. I don't know what the most important thing is. You are not the first person in the world to want to do what you want to do. So who do you want to be? Who do you admire? And go study them. Go study their journey. Go study their timeline. Go study how they got started and see what the first domino piece was for them. So for example, Ali Abdaal, a big name here on YouTube. If you study his journey, you can see that he didn't do all of these things all at the exact same time, right? No, he started a YouTube channel that built a ton of trust for him, and that led to everything else, right? His business, his course business, his book, he got tons of press features. He now posts on a bunch of other platforms because he has the team to support him. But in the beginning, the first domino for him was the YouTube channel. So go and study the people that you admire where you're like, that's the business I want. That's the lifestyle I want, not just the business, that's the lifestyle I want as well. And this is another quote I love from this book. I'm not saying there will be one thing or even the same thing forever. I'm saying that at any moment in time, there can only be one thing. You're not committing to it forever. Your one thing this week could be to finish your portfolio, because you know your portfolio is what will land you clients. And once you finish your portfolio, maybe your one next thing is to start getting your portfolio in front of clients every single week, right? So it can change and evolve, but the point is to know what the one most important thing is so you don't get distracted by 50 things that are all priority. By the way, priority is a singular word. You cannot have 50 priorities. So here's my example. 2023, we brought in $122,000. In 2024, we doubled that, $244,000. Last year, I made an extremely conscious effort to let go of everything else and just double down and focus and commit to YouTube. And focusing down on YouTube made everything else unnecessary or so much easier. I got a lot of cool people in the industry reaching out to me. So essentially I was networking by creating content without having to go network. And networking for the sake of networking is my worst nightmare. So just being able to create content on my end and having cool people reach out to me, biggest win ever. So that was really cool. I started getting brand sponsorships in my inbox, which is revenue. I started building a community and connections, which is very important to me to feel fulfilled in my business, is to have a community. And of course, this also all leads to organic traffic into my business, so that my business started making more money as well. YouTube also led to some press features, which is really cool. YouTube also led to a literary agent reaching out to me to potentially write a book. And once I made the commitment to YouTube, all of that time and energy went, it was like a laser beam, right? First, everything is like spread out, then it was a laser beam, and I was like, YouTube. And that actually gave me the time and energy back to focus on figuring out what we could be doing with YouTube that would be better. And I was always focused on YouTube, but that really gave me the extra time to be like, okay, how can we make the thumbnails better? How can we make the titles better? How can we make the content better? How can we make the intro better? How can I make sure that I'm hiring the right people so that they can support me in the video production and the video workflow? And all of that did wonders for YouTube. My YouTube grew so much, and that of course led to my business growing as well. So repeat after me. This is a great quote. You will whittle your way from your mega list of all the things you could be doing to the critical few, and not stop until you end with the essential one, the imperative one, the one thing. Cinematic music, the one thing. So what is the final step? It's probably the most important step, is to commit to your one thing. There's another quote I love in this book, which is, there can only be one most important thing. Many things may be important, but only one can be the most important. Because I think it's very easy to be like, no, everything is important, everything is important. Yeah, sure, many things can be very important in your life, right? I have many important things, but what is the one most important thing to getting you to your goal in that area of your life? And I will be super honest, committing to the one thing is hard, but it's very, very freeing. I feel like sometimes people think trying to do everything is the hardest thing you can do in business. I don't agree. I think saying no to everything is actually the hardest thing you can do in business. So that kind of brought me from a state of like constantly being overwhelmed every day, being like, what should I be working on? I should be working on these 15 things at the same time, to instead being like, what would make the most difference to my business today? And basically, this does not mean I only work on YouTube every single day. It just means that the first thing I work on every single day when I come into my business is my one thing, is YouTube. It's almost like I treat everything else as a distraction until my one thing is done. So some tips here, you can time block your one thing as much time as you can dedicate to it on your calendar, just being like, my one thing is finishing my portfolio. Put it first thing in your calendar, put it in the calendar block. Don't let anyone book any calls around it. Don't try to slot in admin or emails or anything else. Work on your one thing. And he also says, like, a request must be connected to my one thing for me to consider it. So that means if someone's like, hey, can I pick your brain? Hey, like, have you thought about doing this? Hey, would you like to come on my podcast? Hey, blah, blah, blah. We have said no to so many things. I even said no to brand sponsorships for such a long time because I just wanted to focus on how to make better videos on YouTube. And I knew that figuring out how to integrate a sponsor into my video would take a lot of time, and that would take time and energy away from me studying and doubling down on how to make YouTube and our content a million times better. Now, what Gary recommends is time blocking at least 4 hours a day. Now, I'm not going to tell you that because obviously everyone has different situations and time constraints. So I'll just say time block whatever you can. Okay, when I was working full-time as a freelancer and I was trying to build my business on the side, I time blocked 15 minutes every day. And that was enough. That commitment, that habit to my one thing, which was building my business, that was all I needed. So if you only have 15 minutes a day to spare, that is perfect. That is enough. All right, so now here's some but Dea questions. But Dea, I'm a freelancer and I have 5 clients. How can I pick the most important one? So I have 2 things to say to this. Number 1, instead of picking one client that's the most important, you can instead pick one behavior or one habit in your current season of business as your most important thing. So for example, what is your overall goal? If it is to earn more money, is to learn more, maybe your one thing, your highest leverage habit and spend of your time that you want to do every day is to invest in learning and training for your career capital. So maybe then you block an hour of learning time every single week and it's your most important thing to get done every single week. Because again, trying to do it all means you just spread yourself super thin, right? Maybe you obsess over pricing, you go to networking events, more cold pitching, accepting every single project, you're making Notion dashboards, perfecting your website, making reels, posting on LinkedIn. All of these things are just distracting time and energy from, let's say, providing an amazing service to clients or doubling down on building your biggest asset and skill training you so that your earning potential doubles in the coming year. So if your one thing is developing your skills and all your finite time and energy go to that, you know what that leads to? Lots of good stuff because you can charge more. You'll get more word of mouth referrals because you're more differentiated. You will build a more specific reputation. And when you make more money, everything else is easier. The other thing I will say here is not all freelance clients are made equal. Anybody who has had multiple clients can tell you that accepting every client means you're spreading your energy and time 100 different ways and you are context switching each time you're switching between clients. Most of the time, 20% of your clients deliver 80% of your learning, of your joy, of your passion, of your income. So the one thing could be focusing down on those types of clients, right? Now, if the programming of you should try to do everything as fast as possible is still deep in your mind and you're really struggling with accepting that you cannot do that, I have the perfect next video for you. It's this video. It is about a book called 4,000 Weeks, which is one of the best productivity books I've ever read. That's all I'll say about it. It's so good. Go watch this video. It's really good. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Okay, bye.